Um, how would you like to tell everybody about what you've been up to? What are you doing, and how is all going?
So, yeah, so I have a practice here in Germany, in the Rhineland, and I'm more and more focusing. So I'm doing hypnotherapy and sleep talk, and I'm more and more focusing only on kids. And since nearly 6 months, I'm conducting research about sleep talk together with the university here in Düsseldorf. Our focus is a subject, selective mutism, and we selected kids in the age between 3.5 and 6.5 years. So kids which are currently not visiting school.
And they're not visiting because of COVID?
No, we were said we want to have more or less a really homogeneous group, and having kids going to the kindergarten, then changing to school, that make also in the area of selective mutism some impact. So that we would eliminate any kind of disturbing impacts. Okay. Therefore, we are only at the moment focusing on the age 3.5 to 6.5 years.
And how are you going with your numbers? You're getting enough, or did I hear?
I'm struggling a little bit. We need at least 20 parents. So maybe I got some people which are interested last week. If they will all attend, then we have probably 23 or 24 parents.
Okay. So I was going to say, do you need to put a call out to all the consultants to pass your details on, or have you got enough locally?
Now, I guess at the moment we do have enough locally, but we are focusing currently on Germany, Australia, and Switzerland.
That's excellent. And you know, I think everybody here will be saying, you know, very appreciative, Jürgen, because are you getting great results, or is it still early to tell?
The first kid finished, so we have a time frame of 6 months, and the first kid finished really good. So we have really good results in this case. 2 other kids, I got the response from the parents. So they said, okay, if you neglect the first 10 minutes, so that we have a warm-up phase, then the diagnosis of selective mutism is no longer valid. So the results for the moment looks really interesting. So very hopefully.
I know it's very early days, but you know, and I know, you know, it's from memory, you actually are addressing everybody as a group, aren't you? And they're only doing the first foundation. Is that the okay? So, and it's a 6-month study, so it'll be really interesting to see where you get to at the end of 6 months. I'm keen. I know everybody else is keen to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And is the university happy with the way things are progressing at the moment?
Yes. For the moment, I'm really a standardized approach. So we're doing the foundation statement, the bridging statement, and then all kids get the same second level statement, so that we have really a harmonized also approach for the kids. And what I'm also collecting, in addition to the data for the selective mutism, I have a questionnaire, which is a therapist questionnaire, collecting also information about emotional resources and problems like anxiety, like emotional resilience, etc. And for the moment, what I can see that all kids, regardless of their selective mutism, also have some progress in these areas. So these are additional data I am currently collecting, but not only with the study, but also with clients I do have, which are also in the same age.
Yeah, no. Would anyone like to comment? I mean, this is really exciting for us, Jürgen, and I know Joan is super excited. And I think what I'd like to take advantage of is perhaps down the track, we'll get you on to a meetup and just to run through with everybody the steps that you had to do to get this happening. Because imagine if we could all, not all of us, but imagine if a lot more of us around the world would take this initiative and get some research and get some stuff happening. It's a lot of work. I know you had to do a lot of work to get there, but the end results are just going to be phenomenal. Sorry, Elena, you keep putting your hand up. Do you want to say something? Sorry.
I don't really want to interrupt what you're saying, but I just want to clarify, you're dealing with selective mutism specifically?
Yes.
Diagnostically?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, the background was, we said, okay, that we really want to do a research study. And then I sat together with the professor here, and we discussed which area we would focus. So all kids are only a special area. And then we said, okay, it makes more sense to have only one disturbance we are really focusing on. And then first of all, there was the idea looking for ADHD. But then looking at the kids, there's really broadband. Some gets medication, some doesn't get it, some gets other kind of therapies, etc. So that we said within the time frame of 6 months, we cannot really say, okay, these results are based on the sleep talk process. But if you are looking to the selective mutism, up to today, there is no therapy where I say, okay, if I have a child with a selective mutism, let's do this kind of therapy and we will have some progress.
Well, I like how you've cut it right down to, like, as you said, 3.5 to 6.5. I think that's brilliant, because then you're going to, you're really honing in on a great area. And was that your decision, or was that something you come up with the professors?
That was first of all my proposal, and then he agreed to do so. Maybe we will have the next year a second study to say, okay, we will go from 6 to 10. So kids in school from class 1 to 4 here in Germany. So we'll see.
And yes, this is a good foot in the door. Like, I mean, you don't know where this is going to go. And of course, the more research that you pull together, the more we know that we're going to get great results. I mean, you will finally have something that you can then pick up and take to do more research, or to actually, as you said, broaden the scope.
Yes, and the professor is also really happy about this, because when I noticed him, that he's the first one doing on this globe, doing a scientific research in this area. So also from his profession, it's really good to be the first one, more or less a pioneer in the scientific way, to do some research in this area. So I guess we have a good basis to work together.
Yeah, well, I've got Jacinta and Tanya on the line. Hi, guys. I'll mute.
Hi, everybody. So good to be here and listening to all that you're sharing. Very, very interested.
So, Jacinta, how would you like? Have you met Jürgen before?
No, I've only just read some posts in the group that we're in relation to what you're doing. So I'm really, really interested.
Yeah, and you know what, Jacinta, tell a few, I don't mind you doing this, share with everybody what you do, and then I'm going to get Tanya to do the same, because we've got Jürgen's amazing. Sorry, Jürgen. Elaine is brilliant. She also comes in from another modality as well, and then I've got Tanya sitting there who I'm dying to say good day to as well. So let's spend a little bit of time sharing with each other what we're doing. And you all know we can use the chat box. Please put your contact details down there, because part of this is just you guys getting to know each other and be really good resources for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a clinical play therapist and emotions coach. So I work with children and families with a range of different concerns and different issues, and I weave sleep talk into all of what I do. So I work with a number of NDIS families here in Australia, which is the National Disability Scheme, where where the government pays for services. And I also do a lot of parent education, and I'm from an early childhood music background, so I use a lot of rhythm and music and sort of interwoven into my sessions, creative arts and different bits and pieces. So I'm kind of a bit of an eclectic mix. And I am actually about to dive into not only the trainer's course with this, but also I'm going to be doing a diploma of clinical hypnotherapy. I can't help myself, Kerry.
Well,
So I'm just so, you know, I work with a lot of families whose children have autism, and yeah, I'm just super interested in helping support those families however I can. And I just think, yeah, therapeutically, hypnotherapy really comes into that.
So Jacinta, 2022 for you is going to be a year that you bite off more than you can chew, and then
Absolutely.
chew off.
Absolutely. It certainly is.
So nothing's changed. Your
No, nothing's
2021 was very similar.
Mm-hmm. It still is. We've still got a month to go.
Tanya, how would you like to say hello? Lovely to see you, by the way.
Pardon?
Lovely to see you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So look, I can relate to a lot of what Jacinta just said in terms of background, actually, because my background before I got into Sleep Talk was education, so teaching. And then from there, actually, I did springboard into hypnotherapy and did a certificate of hypnotherapy. And just found when I was working in that field of hypnotherapy, initially I was working with adult clients predominantly. And then, of course, found a lot of, adult clients' issues stem from childhood. So found myself working, I guess, because I had my own young children and I was experiencing my own concerns with them, that as soon as Sleep Talk came along within the hypnotherapy course, jumped on that. So did Joan's full training there, and, have just then found myself gravitating, I guess, with those backgrounds in, parenting children of a young age at the time, education background, and hypnotherapy, moving more and more towards supporting families and kids with various anxiety, stress-related issues, kids on the spectrum as well, just, I guess, any kinds of issues. And it's really, I guess, my focus has not just limited to kids. It was really supporting parents, bringing in the education as well as the therapy.
Thanks, Tanya.
Yeah, I know. Well, as soon as you started talking, I was just like, well, that's, and I guess what I had created over time has been a real blend of bringing Sleep Talk in as one component of a program that I run, where I also bring in education. I also bring in some hypno techniques, just lots of different things that I then sort of created a program, because I found when initially I was working with parents to support their kids, and I use this word reluctantly because just doing Sleep Talk, but what I mean is, I know how wonderful and powerful it is, but I wanted to give more to my parents to support other things at the same time. And I found myself time after time giving the same similar things. So then I started to wrap that up into what I would offer to all my parents who came in, whether that be how to support themselves with anxiety related issues, so that then they weren't so stressed dealing with their children, while they were going through supporting their kids at the same time. So but COVID was an interesting time in terms of taking it all online for the first time. I'd never worked online before. And
whereabouts are you?
I'm in Melbourne.
Yeah, you're in Melbourne. So you're still has a bit of a bleak future ahead.
Well, it's been interesting because initially, it was a huge shock to work. I had to work from home, and like we all had to sort of adjust. And it was actually pleasantly surprising how effective it was and how much I enjoyed it. But I think for Melbourne, the fact that we've been in and out so many times, it became very, like, the continuity became very challenging with clients who would say, I'll wait till you come back to your clinic, or I'll see you online. And so I've actually made a fairly big and bold decision to just work online going forwards in 2022. And in conjunction with that, do workshops live. So maybe taking myself into school areas is something I'm very keen to do, working with younger kids as well as teens in sharing educational sort of yeah, there's a sort of a little workshops and things like that is what I'm really keen to be doing in small groups, as opposed to as much one-on-one therapy, which is what I've been doing up till now.
Yeah, no, and thank you for bringing that up, Tanya, because, you know, there's a silver lining with COVID. I know we don't look for it, but as Joan said, there's always a silver lining. But COVID has actually pushed so many of us down the online path. And Jürgen, can I ask, has COVID actually affected this scientific study? Has it slowed you down, or were you able to transfer everything online?
I guess as I am working for Germany, Switzerland, and Australia, I guess at least 90% of the parents are doing online.
Yeah, yeah.
Also with the rest of my sleep talk clients, probably the same. Now 90% is online. Yes. Yeah,
no, and I think that's as much as it sounds silly, I think that's the way that it's going to remain, even when we're through this deep dark hole. Parents are now comfortable with it. More and more parents are working from home, and gone are the days where you meet a parent in a coffee shop and have a little rapport and a little chat with them. And Tanya, you're exactly right. I mean, and Jacinta knows this as well, but we can get to a lot more parents by doing group sessions. And I've been saying this for 2 years to all the consultants, and I know so many of them said, I don't know, I'll just stick with one, thank you very much. Well, now they're finding when you actually are doing a program for one, you could be doing the same program for 100, particularly at the beginning. So why would you not, if you're learning all these skills and getting the momentum, why wouldn't you branch it out? And she's not here tonight, but I am recording this, everybody. So I'll give a shout out to Anne from Canada. We have one of our consultants up there who's very much like you, Tanya. She actually she's calling her, I think it's Facebook, Resilient Mothers, or, you know, Resilient and Happy Mothers, but the whole kit and caboodle is basically about parent education. It's about giving parents so much more. And I'm all for that, as long as we make sure that we're clearly articulating this is the Golding process sleep talk. This is part of the package. As long as that's happening, I mean, it's still going to be great for our reputation, but we're going to get a lot more success because the parents at the other end, Rose is coming in. The parents at the other end are much more astute. They're much more educated. They're working on their environment. As you all know, apart from the Golding process, there's all these other elements that need to be addressed as well.
Absolutely. I was going to say, Kerry, so I'm happy to share how I eventually broke it down, because what I found myself doing in the early days was the sleep talk, as Joan would obviously take clients through it. And what I was doing was then with the foundation, I was able to convey the educational background of sleep talk, the actual process, and even the language around, you know, for parent education in an initial session. And then in the second session, which I would give them 6 weeks later, of course, I would do a reassessment, but I would also in that second session give them lots of tools, techniques to be able to support them with stress, anxiety, and other things. So then they would go off and they would continue then with them if they needed to. That's where I would do any change of wording and things like that. So the program, obviously, in its initial part is very much focused on, you know, this is the sleep talk process within my program, which then has 2 other components that I add in, from drawing on hypnotherapy. EFT tapping as well is another modality that I do. So I introduce and teach all my parents tapping. So I've kind of brought in a number of different modalities in this now program. But the first part of it, I like to get parents started straight away on the sleep talk, because I know they'll come in and want support for their kids. And if I sort of start talking about support for them straight away, you know, it's not what they're here for. So it's sort of like a gentle way of coming in, I guess, once I've given them in the first session what they need and they can get started straight away. Then in that second session, which is, you know, how are you going and whatever, then I bring in more support for the parents.
Yeah, no, Tanya, please, by all means, pop your details down on the chat, because again, I mean, if everybody's happy here to do the sharing, and it's so funny because my parenting process has a little bit of NLP. I don't go the EFT. I know about it, but I don't know enough about it. But you know, we all have our other hats as well. And you know, at the end of the day, it's really, to me, it's giving your parents a much broader picture, and you're going to get the results faster at the end. And Elaine, you didn't share, and I'll get to Rose in a sec. Hi, Rose. But
Hi.
you also have a very interesting side of you that I'd love you to share with everybody.
Okay.
Me?
Well, I am a child health nurse as my background. Was a registered nurse, etc., midwife and child health. So I worked in child health in the community for many years. From that background, I really loved the idea of using sleep talk. It wasn't possible from what I could work through to bring it into my work, of course, but yeah, and I have digressed or added to by doing the body talk system as well. So that's something it does involve tapping, but it's not the EFT. So that just is another side of it. But yeah, so I tend to work with either or both, depending on where things are leading.
Yeah, these are all very talented. Rose has just popped in. Rose, can you just pop on and say hello? Are you able to?
Yeah, but hang on till I. Yeah.
What a beautiful photo, Rose.
Why is my video not working? I wonder. Your video is stopped. It says.
Are you shy?
No, I'm never shy. You should know that by now. It is. I'm on my mobile phone, and it's not.
Oh,
how bizarre.
No, it is sometimes. But look, we can see your beautiful face, Rose. We know how wonderful you are. Rose is
thank
Tanya.
you.
She's another Melbourneite. I think you guys have met anyway, haven't you, Tanya and Rose?
Have I what?
I think you've met Tanya, who's from Melbourne.
I have. Yeah, I think I've met everyone.
Yeah. Oh, you're all sensational.
Oh, here we are. Start video. It came up for me. Oh, there we are.
There you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I should switch on the light, shouldn't I?
Oh, that's okay. How have you been going, Rose? Have you found that you've been able to do a little bit of switching over more online now that you've been in you guys have been in lockdown?
Oh, well, I'm only just seeing people face to face now. I've been online for a year and a half. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, that's the bonus too. I mean, you've got a little bit of choice, at least when you're down in lockdown. But anyway, we won't go on talking about COVID. I really just tonight, the idea of getting on with everyone tonight, it's the last one for the year. But I've too been planning my 2022. So I wanted to share with you guys some news about what I've planned for next year.
Oh, good.
I also wanted to talk about the pro bono. Now, do you guys, have anyone know about what I've done now with the pro bono applications?
No, what?
No, there's no head tilt. Okay, well, Rose, yeah. All right, let me send this. What I've always felt uncomfortable with, well, not uncomfortable, but many of you know that sometimes the parents that need it the most are the ones that always have a whinge about they can't afford this and they can't afford that. And so what we actually have now, and it's very much driven by you guys, the consultants, is I have a link that you can give to parents if you feel they're deserving and you know that they can't possibly take on your services as a consultant. Maybe the timing's not right, maybe there's extenuating circumstances, but it's a link that they can go on to now. It's on the web page, it's hidden, but they can completely apply for to be accepted as a pro bono person. And of course, this would be people that, single mums that are going, can't, lots of kids can't afford it. but how it works is we very clearly get them to apply. They have to fill out a form. They have to say in a sentence why they want to be part of this pro bono form. And again, we ask them to who recommended you, so that if we've got interns or people who really are looking for extra clients, it's a win for them. We actually marry them up with some of the interns who are trying to do their case studies. However,
excellent.
What we then say to them is this is only for phase 1. So if you basically, if somebody's working with them for phase 1 and they drop out, it's not a big deal, because as you know, that was always a problem with our case studies. But if they go through and they work with the intern, part of signing up as an application is they have to basically put a testimonial together at the end of their 6 months saying, you know, who recommended them. So you get a bit of a plus, what the achievement was, what the ultimate success was, and we post that up on the website, or we use it for marketing or whatever. But my idea is to have a nice big list. And when you're out there marketing this to anyone, if you get these people who, oh, I really would love to do this, I'm committed, but there's just no way I can afford it, you're not just walking away and leaving them behind, you know, and going, oh, well, it's tough. Yeah. You either pay for my consulting services or you don't. That's gone, because now you've got the link. You can choose whether you think, you know, of course, if it's somebody who's just using that excuse, but they've got plenty of money and you know it, then don't pass them the link. You want somebody that, you know, is dedicated, is committed, is interested, and our interns will pick them up and basically look after them. So just so you know, if everyone basically has a look at the chat, I've just sent through the link. And I'm not going to, I don't post this out to everybody. I will basically only give this to the consultants to use wisely, because the last thing you want is these people who could be your clients just going, oh no, I'll take the free version, thank you very much.
True, but Kerry, they're actually taking on, they're allowing themselves to be monitored by someone who's new at it. So if they want more experienced support, they'll know the difference. So absolutely. It's a really lovely, it's a lovely move. Yeah.
And you're exactly right, Rose, because as I found, you know, I've given this link to 2 or 3 people after I've been talking to them on Facebook. And as you all know, I go on to my Facebook groups, people who have really challenging children, and I won't give it out to everybody. I'll just follow and watch a few, and then I might give it to them. And those same parents who I thought would take this basically come back and go, no, I'd rather pay for your service. Thank you very much. And I was
thinking, exactly. Wow, that's what I mean.
At the end of the day, I don't much care, but they had an opportunity, you know, and I've had parents come back to me and, you know, they're telling me the kids are about to be taken away from them. Their kids are punching holes in the school walls and all these, you know, the type. And they've come back and went, it's $35 for the ebook. I can't afford that. I'm not paying that. And straight away, that just puts them in another level to me. It's like, not that they can't pay it, they just don't want to pay it. And you know, and I know sometimes they're the parents, they're just not ready. And I certainly don't want to give them to an intern, you know, because they're not going to do the process. They're not that serious about fixing their challenges. And as I say, sometimes, well, they're just not ready. And I actually sent an email to somebody today, and I'm talking too much. I'm going to shut up soon, guys, and let you talk. I sent an email to a consultant today who said on her Facebook page, she had somebody pop in and start calling it a scam and being very negative and very horrible. And it upset her to the point that, you know, she's going, oh, should I pull the page? And I went back to her and I said, look, wish them well, thank them for their comment, then get rid of them and focus on people who want to be helped, not the ones who just want to be horrible about it. And isn't it funny? I believe that we all do that. We all focus on the wrong client and we let these parents get under our skin, when in actual fact we know, and you all know, that, you know, we'll do so much good for the parents that want our help, not the parents. We don't have to convince the parents that don't want help. But in saying that, I'm going to Shut up, Jürgen. Did I hear right? Did you tell me in an email that you've cracked 100? Have you got about 100 clients at the moment?
Yeah, 98.
Oh my goodness. Oh, look, we'll have to send an
Wow.
award or something to you. Up to you. Is it up? Yes, it's up. Sorry, we're down under. Germany's up. No, that's good. So what are you going to do when you get the 100th client?
To be honest, I don't know. Let's see.
Get 200.
Yes, yeah, sure.
Well, I will,
Okay.
on behalf of everybody here, I will say congratulations, because that's a milestone. That's a big milestone. And I know maybe Jacinta knows, because I trained Jacinta in the refresher course. That's always my goal. I look for 100 clients a year. And it, you know, I have not, I think I got it the 1 year, but I certainly didn't get it this year. And, you know, it was my choice. I pulled my advertising and pulled my Facebook page because I just get really busy with the Golding Institute. But that is a big milestone. Would you guys agree?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, often I say, Jürgen, that, you know, at the end, I know some people will say that you shouldn't set goals at the end of every year, but I think, as you know, if we're professionals, we should be really giving ourselves some big, hairy, audacious goals. And I don't know if you planned it, Jürgen, but congratulations. I mean that
Thank you.
sincerely. So out of everybody here, I guess that's a pretty active number. In saying that, Jacinta, you were telling me it's been a quiet year for you, but you also deal with a lot of numbers, a lot of parents and families. What would your number be?
Look, I mean, I see, because I see groups of kids with my emotion coaching and life coaching, I could have 20 or 30 families on the go at once. It's pretty busy. And then I currently have about 20 one-on-one face-to-face clients. Sorry, I'm just there's people, my husband and my children around, so I'm just going to another room. Sorry, it'll get a bit dark. There we go, back into the light. So yeah, I have 20 face-to-face families that I'm working with at the moment with my play therapy and creative arts therapy. But sleep talk, I really I've got about 10 families who are currently using the process regularly, and I absolutely am planning and working out how I can start really presenting it from a group perspective as well, online.
And I'm really pleased to hear that. And I know, Kenya, you're going down the same path. That's what I find really interesting with Jürgen. And Jürgen, I hope you don't mind me speaking about your program. But one of the things that we were concerned about, and really we weren't probably thinking as big as Jürgen, is we all know that we can all do the foundation stage 2 groups. In actual fact, even the second phase can be done to a group, but again, there's a timing issue. But when you look at our primary area of need, I've always stated, no, hang on a minute, that's got to be individual. That's got to be, you're sitting down with your family, you're doing where does my child stand now. That's all what they pay the big money for. That's the individual expertise of us. Where, Jürgen, you've turned that on your head for me, because you are correct, you are dealing with a specific selective mutism, specifically an age group. And so I can see how you can do this. You can do phase 1, you can do phase 2, and I know it's a closed environment, but you can then very successfully do this phase 3 primary area of need, because can everybody see you've brought it down to a very similar group. They've all got the same challenges, they're all around the same age. You don't have to individually change the primary area of need statement. So Jürgen, you've basically opened the gates, I say floodgates, for the big thinkers like Tanya, like Jacinta, maybe even Elaine sitting up there in Queensland. I'm not leaving you out, Elaine, because if we're willing to actually narrow down, you know, our specific area that we're going to work with, there is a possibility for us to take groups through the whole, can everyone see the whole 3 phases and still do, because it's always been for Joan and I, it's always been, you've got to be aware of the individual needs of the family. But in this particular case, the individual needs, am I right, Jürgen? They're getting looked after, even though I think
Yeah.
you've got everybody on different times.
Yeah, that's correct, not correct. The second part, so the individual case is at the moment for the study, we have for all the same level statement, but also selective mutism is a wide range of symptoms and how kids are. So one kid is not the same as the other kids. So right now I'm working with parents and say, okay, if the 6 months of study have ended, I don't leave them alone, but I will also then accompany them the month afterwards. And also it's, let's say, a pro bono from my side, because they are having also some work doing the questionnaires as well as supporting me in my study. And in this case, currently after the 6 months, which is for this study, really a fixed set, I gave more and more in detail for each kid. One kid is more emotional resilience issues, the other one is more anxiety issues, etc. So then I'm focusing more and more in detail for the kids itself. But then I will also gather information afterwards, also filling out questionnaires, etc. So to see even what's going after the study and then have an extended study value.
No, I hear you, and I understand that from the study point of view. But if you look at this is Kerry's marketing, if you look at it as a business model, can everybody see that this could be a very successful model if we're willing to narrow it down? Because as you said, even when they get through that first initial challenge, yes, many parents, then you could offer for them to continue on, they pay another fee and they get, that's when you sit down and go through the next primary area of need. But for the initial one, and again, when you're marketing, this could be a 6-month program with the offer that when they finish it, they're not going to be pro bono like Jürgen's doing because of his research, but then they pay an additional fee and they continue. Then they could break off to be individuals, you know, individual clients. But I see Tanya nodding your head. So Tanya, you get it, that this could be, depending on what niche you want. And Jürgen, I think you're spot on by not only should our niche be for a primary area of need, but we also can get very selective with age groups. Because again, when you think about it, we're telling parents that you want to use the words that resonate with the children. So I mean, it could still be taught to different parents with different age groups. But as I said, you've really opened my mind to the possibility now that it doesn't have to necessarily be just the foundation talking to a group. Does anyone want to make a comment? I'll zip it.
I was going to say, because when Jürgen was saying, you know, it's not necessarily uniform, even though you've got a very niche group of clients. I can relate to that because one of the groups that I did was for young mums with for school transition. So I was looking very much at that sort of kinder age bracket, transitioning to preps. First year of primary school, which is often a lot of anxiety, you know, there's school refusal, there's, you know, and kids are at different stages. So even though you might niche that demographic of that age bracket and all for school transition, and it is predominantly anxiety related, the first session is definitely it works with a group, and you can talk the parents through doing their where is your child at now checklist. But then I found after that, every single client would want to go in a different path and talk specifically about their child's needs. So I did find then that to go further, I haven't done a lot of groups yet, but I'm going to explore this as well, because I think that, yeah, that foundation, absolutely as a group, but then I found I could just give more value because each person had such different needs in their own individual family, and it felt like I wasn't able to give them enough there was definitely a positive dynamic in that the parents were then sharing sometimes their issues between each other, which was lovely, that they could actually share common concerns, and that was made them not feel like they were alone with their issue. But yeah, the next phase, I haven't managed to feel like I've been able to master that yet.
And understanding too that I'm the first to tell parents that, you know, you don't have to consider the whole 3 phases. Sometimes parents are quite happy with the success they get in the first phase. And I was one of them. I never got into phase 2 or phase 3 with my son. I basically was really happy with the results I got, and we continued on. And as many of you know from my story, he's 21 now. And it's like, what did I do right? Holy gamoly, it had to be the golden process. It certainly wasn't my parenting skills that had improved. But yeah, and from a business perspective, though, that can be really annoying. You know, you sit down with a group of 30 people and you might get 4 people want to keep going, you know. And again, this is why I'm always saying, you know, for every parent that you have that's really happy with the success, we've got to be asking from a business point of view for them to recommend or to reference somebody, because you want to keep your business in a momentum. However, if you then go and do the next group session, basically that's, you know, and I know when I did crack the 100, Jürgen, for my clients, I was doing webinars every week, and I was doing free webinars every week, and I was just playing with the numbers. And that's when I was prepared to do that. That's when the momentum started to come. But the first couple of weeks I got better as I went. And as soon as I pulled that action, that's when my numbers start to drop. You know, I know it's great, because I know if I want to get back to building my numbers again, I've got to get active and I've got to get going, you know. But anyway, talking about next year, guys, it's getting on. Now I'll make an apology to you all. You've probably noticed my black and white screens aren't behind me, but I'm actually, I'm in Nambucca Heads at the moment. So this is, again, a great example of we don't have to be stuck in the office to do these online things. It's great. But if you're wondering what's behind me, yeah, I'm at a friend's place. Next year, believe it or not, Rose has known me for a while. Jürgen's known me, so has Elaine. I don't think I've ever been this organised before. In fact, I'm scaring myself when I say to you guys, I've done 2020 dates. It's not even December yet, and Kerry has set up the year for next year. Rose, can you ever remember me doing that?
That's true. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Could I, before you move on, would you mind me commenting on something that you just said? Or
absolutely,
please. You were saying about doing the groups, but I found, because we're doing with our somatic pain people, we're doing a book group called The Presence Process. And what we've done is we set up a Facebook page for the participants. So the participants can actually interact with one another, but they're only in that group. So there's no outsiders. So the people that are in the group have heard the chapter that we're on and what we're doing about somatic pain, and then they're able to interact with one another and encourage each other or whatever. And it probably would go really nicely with what the others are doing with their groups. But it just reinforces that they belong to the group. And then as one person says, well, you know, I'm continuing on, the others will want to continue on as well. It's just another marketing tool, but it's also a way for the I was going to call them patients, to actually see that it's worthwhile and that other people are successful. Because when you're on your own and you've got a child that's difficult, well, you're going to think you're hopeless. And yet, you know, your interaction with others. But anyway, that was just my thought. So
thank you. And I'm going to, if Jacinta's there, are you still there, Jacinta? Sorry, Elaine, you've got your hand up, please.
No, it's all good.
Did you want to say something, Elaine? You're right. Jump on.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I was happy to go with Jacinta, though, whatever you wanted to talk about.
Well, I think, Jacinta, you've used Facebook very successfully, yes?
Yeah, and I have. But I do use my personal profile a lot. Like that's where I mean, I do have business pages as well that I use, but I mean, I've really just had great success using my personal profile and friends sharing, and just, yeah, building sort of a client base through that.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, if we look at Maslow's needs, and that's going into the pyramid, sense of belonging is really, really important. So you're right, Rose. And for these parents, particularly if they're down in the survival mode, we want them to know that they're part of a group. And again, we lose that if we're just doing one-on-one consulting. But many of us,
Yep.
I know
Yep.
there's many people who'll be listening to the recording that says, yes, I do groups, but I think you're exactly right, Rose. I think by utilizing some of the technology now, we could be, you know, taking a much bigger opportunity to get them talking to each other, much like we're doing now with our meetups. It's so much more powerful when all of a sudden you realize you've got people from all over the globe that can help, even just reach out for a chat.
And you're not alone. You're not alone. That's the sort of thing what I was going to say, that with a group, people start to hear the story. They start to connect either with individual people or as a group. So that connection, and if it's Facebook online or whatever, then I think that's awesome, because that is part of any group.
Yeah. But holding the group, only that particular group, is the important thing, because they begin to know one another and they'll reach out to each other.
And confidentiality, that's the other big thing.
And
Yes.
not only that, Rose, they build trust with each other as well.
Yes.
So you're right. All of a sudden, if one family is really doing well, they don't mind sharing that with the others, and that reinforces them to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, keep going.
And
Yeah.
that's not coming from the consultant. That's actually coming from the other parents.
Yeah, it's called adult learning, I think, isn't it, Kerry?
Yes, don't talk to me about adult learning at the moment. Many of you know I work for a place called the College of Adult Learning. And I'm having a lot of trouble, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm having a lot of trouble talking to my students about diversity and inclusion and all this in this current environment, because I'm thinking, why am I explaining to them in a workforce that you've got to be diverse, you've got to include people, and yet their bosses are saying, well, you can't come and work for us if you haven't had a jab. But that's another topic, and we're not going to go down that path. I'm just having a bit of trouble with the what's the word, differences of opinion at the moment. Okay, so everybody, 2022, I'm going to move on. 2022 is the year that we're going to be doing something a little bit different. These meetups are going to be every month. And every month I'm going to just have a Monday night where people can come on. There'll be Q&As. There'll be just chat. There'll be just a chance for us to all come on. It's going to be open to everybody, and we're going to be starting that on the 3rd of January. So if you guys can just remember, it'll be the first Monday of every month, and I think I'm allowing a 2-hour time frame. So, you know, you don't necessarily have to jump on to talk to me, but the opportunity is going to be there for the interns, the consultants, the coaches, the trainers, absolutely everybody. And that's differing a little bit, because what will happen is we will continue, well, if you're all happy, we're going to continue with every 3 months having a professional workshop. So not just me running you through something, but we're going to get professional speakers in, or other people who are actually going to build up your, I guess you could say, your professional development. Anyone got any questions? You're all looking a bit shell-shocked. I hope I haven't scared. It's not going to be mandatory. It's totally voluntary. But I think what we tried to do this year didn't quite work. I tried to merge the workshops in with the meetups. And sometimes I think we're finishing a meetup and I've delivered all the information like I'm doing now. But I've cut back on the chat with each other. And I think that's probably more important. Well, you've showed me tonight, it's more than important than ever for you guys to liaison, to network with each other, to you know, form really good relationships because we've all got different hats and different expertise. So there will be an email going out, but I just wanted to let you know that's on the track. Yes, Rose.
Before you close, would you mind if there's anyone out there who's a trainer or consultant who's got an autistic child? I've got this woman in Israel that I was telling you about, and they're English speaking, but the child is on the spectrum and doesn't speak very well, and I'd rather give the mother the therapy, but she doesn't believe she needs it, I don't think. But if there's someone out there who's in that spectrum, autism spectrum, and can relate to that mother, it might be worthwhile. That's all.
Families.
Go, Jacinta, you go off, shut up.
Yeah, I work with a lot of families with children with autism.
Okay, I'll send her your email. Send me your email, and
Yeah, sure.
And I'll see, because she's non-verbal.
Yeah, I've just. How old is she?
20.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. That was going to be my question as well. If anyone is working with families with children, you know, older, 20-year-old, 25-year-olds who may be, you know, who may have autism or maybe non-verbal, or I'm really curious.
Yeah, and Jacinta, I'm glad you brought that up, because as you all know, with our marketing, we do say to people we work with children from 0 to 14 or 15. The main reason that Joan stopped at 14 or 15 is that we just felt that morally, from a moral point of view, they're becoming adults at 15, 16, and Joan believes you can still tell a parent that we can work with them, but that we need to get the permission from the kids if they're happy for us to work with them. And of course, you can always use hypnotherapy as well. But we have had some, and I'll very quickly mention it, we have had some that have worked with brain damaged adults. And then we've had the lovely Hass with her son, who was going through his uni at 18 or 19. He went and sat down with his mum and asked if she would do it again. He was starting to get he could tell the exams were getting on top of him. He was getting very anxious, and he was 18. And in that case, yes, once she got permission, she went back to using sleep talk on him, of course, from probably the doorway. But she's the first to tell you, it settled him down, the results. She saw it, he felt it. At the end of the day, if you are going to be working with those sort of older kids, just be aware that I think the ethical part is important. But then, of course, when you get to brain damaged or people, do we actually take into account their actual age, or do we take into account where they're actually at? And
yeah, that's absolutely. And I think, like I currently have a violin student. I don't know if I mentioned that. I do play violin as well. And I'm not teaching as much, but I do have this one particular violin student who is in his late 20s, but he also has autism and schizophrenia. And so I'm very, very interested in, or the family's very, very interested in other therapeutic support. And if it would be suitable.
Yeah, well, does anyone else want to make a comment? From me, definitely a yes. Oh, everyone's muted except for me. Isn't that funny?
Carrie.
Yes.
I have a question regarding the time for the regular meetings. Do we have an idea by when this will be? Because if you say, okay, in the Monday evening for Australian time would be mid on the morning on my time, so the morning is more or less gone. So if I would say, if you can do it at, let's say, at 6 at your time, would be 8 my time, or maybe a little bit earlier for me, don't care. But then I have at least some time in the morning for my clients.
Well, do you know what? At the end of the day, I think I wrote somewhere I've tentatively put it for 8 p.m. Jurgen, but I mean, I'm going to be in a position where I can be super flexible. And I'm also got so much time, I can put it out there and ask everyone to come back with their ideal times. If the thing that I'm finding is we have all these guys in Australia, and then we have all the guys that are in Europe, like yourself, and then we have the American guys, which are, again, what are they, minus 18 hours behind us or something. And I've always struggled with the different times. However, Rose knows this. Rose, come January, I'm not working with Cal anymore. I'm basically turning 100% into the Golding process. So Jurgen, if I have to do 3 different sessions, I'll do 3 different sessions. I think it's that important. So look out, you'll get a survey from me, and I'll do everything I can to make sure that we can fit everybody in.
Kerry,
That's fine.
also remember, can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Time Buddy is your little app you need, and that you can, but also remember that what happens with me with our broadcasts is that daylight saving in the different countries throws you out. So
Yes.
keep that in the back of your mind, because my patients are all over the world, as you know, and when daylight saving happens in the United States, I've got to adjust the time again, and in Europe the same thing. So and in Israel the same.
I didn't even know you had daylight savings in Europe and the United States. I thought it was just an Australian thing.
No, it's all over the world. So just be aware that at the moment I've got there's a 2-hour gap between the United States and Australia, whereas when we're on standard time, there's only, it varies by 1 hour, like when they're not in, I don't know. Anyway, I just use Time Buddy, and that helps me all the time.
All right. And does the Time Buddy actually pick up the
Yes.
Okay, because I just use the world clocks, but I'll look that up. Thank you.
No.
Nice tip, Rose.
You bring up your countries that you want, and you just change them. Like I've got a patient in Copenhagen, and I drop out, say, Florida or whatever, and put in Copenhagen, and then I know my time difference.
It's we're living in the most amazing age.
We are.
Age. Okay, well, I'm going to finish very soon, guys. Just letting you know that I've also got 3 trainer courses for next year set up. Jacinta knows this, Jurgen knows this. All the information is on the portal. You can go and have a look if you're keen to become a trainer. And again, Joan and I have put our heads together, and I've worked very hard on hopefully making it I say affordable for everybody, but it's more like it's doable for everybody. If you're super keen, we've got different levels, and I'm really looking forward to getting some new trainers out there. The trainers are actually going to be participating on a lot of the training courses. I don't know, I'll have to call them senior trainers, I guess. And it's going to be a really nice, I guess you could say, blend, because it's not just Kerry. It's going to be, on the first course, there's going to be 4 trainers that are guest speakers. On the second
it's 9 o'clock.
Shut up. That's my computer, by the way. On the next course, there's another 4. So we're rotating with our special guest trainers. And again, I just feel 2022, like Jacinta, is going to be bigger than Ben-Hur. So I'm really looking forward to it. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys, we'll finish with you guys. So we might go Jurgen, Elaine, Tanya, Rose, and Jacinta. You can all have the last say, starting with you, Jurgen.
Okay. So for me, it was really nice to see you all back again since a long time. And I wish everybody, first of all, for yourself and your family, a lot of health and really good luck in these strange times. And as we see next year again, also I wish everybody a Merry Christmas. A little bit early, but I guess we don't see before. So
Fröhliche Weihnachten. Is that how you say it? Fröhliche Weihnachten.
Okay. Yeah. So from my side, bye to you all.
Good night.
I
I have a little guy that's woken up, so I'm going to have to head off. Lots of love to you all and beautiful to meet you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Speak to you soon, Kerry.
Good
Bye-bye.
night. Bye.
No, I've just enjoyed tonight. Thank you. And recapping, I actually thought I might have missed something along the line. It does seem a while. And next year sounds really amazing. So, and I was going to add Merry Christmas. So, yes.
Thanks, everybody. And I think this is the first time this year that I've joined, and it's been lovely just to connect and to get to know faces and see what people are doing. So I look forward to doing more next year. And yeah, really appreciate Kerry spending the time doing this and building the community. So Merry Christmas to everyone as well.
Awesome.
No, thanks, Tanya, and welcome for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. So, guys, yes, Jurgen and Elaine, thank you. It is a Merry Christmas. It's going to be a big, bright new year, and we're all going to be shining like the little lighthouses we are. So take care, guys. Enjoy, and yeah, look out for those emails.
Thanks, Kerry.
Thanks, Gary. Bye.